My name is Maria Dueñas, and I'm a PhD candidate in the Department of Sociology at the University of California, Merced. In this video, I will be discussing a few strategies for teaching self-directed learning. The strategies I discuss in this video are based on Chapter 7 of the book, How Learning Works, 7 Research-Based Principles for Smart Teaching by Ambrose et al. To become self-directed learners, students must learn to assess the demands of the task, evaluate their own knowledge and skills, plan their approach, monitor their progress, and adjust their strategies as needed. These metacognitive skills are critical to being an effective self-directed or lifelong learner. Metacognition refers to, quote, the process of reflecting on and directing one's own thinking, end quote. Metacognition requires several skills for students, such as recognizing what they already know that is relevant for completing a task or project, identifying what they still need to learn, and planning appropriately to learn the material independently, especially when the task is complex. Since there are many skills involved in metacognition, reminding students to read the assignment carefully may not be enough to help them appropriately assess the task. As tasks become more complex and one takes greater responsibility for one's own learning, these skills become even more important. When you teach metacognitive skills, students learn to assess the task, practice incorporating task assessment into their planning, and receive feedback on the accuracy of their task assessment before they start working on the task. Teaching metacognitive skills helps students learn how to independently complete larger, longer-term projects. One of the most common strategies to teach self-directed learning is to have students implement a plan that you provide. This typically involves scaffolding a complex assignment by creating smaller deadlines that reflect the way that you would plan the stages of work. For example, for a final research paper, you would ask students to submit smaller parts of this larger paper, such as an annotated bibliography of the sources they anticipate using by week 4, a draft of their thesis statement in week 6, evidence supporting their thesis statement in week 8, and a final draft in week 12. For other assignments, you can provide guidelines to students that include how long it should take them to complete the assignment, which helps students figure out if they are taking too long to complete a task. The next strategy is to have students create their own plan. You can assign a project that has a plan that students should follow, then ask the students to do more of the planning in another project. This involves a progression from instructor-provided structure to greater or complete student autonomy, where students have more responsibilities for planning and self-monitoring. The next strategy is to set aside moments for self-reflection. Encourage students to ask themselves questions to assess their own work and identify errors, such as, is this a reasonable answer given the problem? What assumptions am I making here? What did I learn from doing this project? What skills do I need to work on? And how will I prepare differently or approach the final assignment based on feedback across the semester? These questions are aimed to help students think through the logic of their thinking. You can use these and other reflection questions in assignments or in class activities, such as reflection papers, a 5-minute in-class paper, or a group discussion in class. You can include moments of self-reflection at the start or end of a lesson or a course module, or make reflection assignments the central assignment of the class. You can also include reflection questions as a component of a project or assignment where students analyze their own performance. Setting aside a moment for self-reflection can also be useful after an exam. A specific example of a self-reflection activity are exam wrappers. Exam wrappers provide students with an opportunity to analyze their own performance on an exam and make connections from their exam performance to how they prepared for it. An exam wrapper could include questions that ask them to identify the type of errors they made on the exam, such as mathematical or conceptual, how they studied, what study skills they will continue and build upon, and what study skills will they change or try for the next exam in the class or in a future class. Exam wrappers can be converted into a class activity for discussion sections or labs if you are a TA and do not run the main lectures. Lastly, another strategy for teaching self-directed learning is to broaden students' understanding of learning. Intelligence and knowledge are not you either know something or you don't. Remind students that learning and knowledge operate on multiple levels, such as being able to recall a concept or theory, to being able to apply it, and knowing when it is relevant for a particular situation. For example, students may be able to define a concept, but have not yet learned how to apply it. Helping students distinguish what knowledge they have can help them better articulate what gaps still remain.